Are you afraid of taking risks? If you're afraid of taking risks, if you're afraid of losing what you have, this video is for you. This video is about scarcity mindset, guys. I feel like a lot of people live their lives with a scarcity mindset, myself included. It took me a while to sit back and think about my life and think about what is holding me back, what's really keeping me from going to the next level. And after doing a little bit of self-evaluation, self-reflection, I realized that what's holding me back is having a scarcity mindset. Now, I will admit that in my case, the scarcity mindset only is tied to one small area of my life, which I would have to say is maybe the most critical area, the financial area, right? But scarcity mindset can apply to any area of your life. Any area of your life. It could apply to friendships, dating, finances, anything. What I realized is that if you're afraid to lose what you already have, if you're afraid to risk it, you ain't gonna get anything out of it, right? It's like that parable, the parable of the guys. It's in the Bible. I'm not a Christian, but I do know the parable of the guys, the 6 servants. The master gives them money and tells them, go multiply this money. And out of the 6 servants, five of them goes and multiply the money. They invest it. They use it to grow a business or do X, Y, Z. And one of them gets scared and hides the money, right? He's too afraid to take risks with the money. And when the master comes back, he's proud of the other 5 servants that went and invested the money and brought back more. But the one servant that hides the money gets reprimanded. And I feel like a lot of us live our lives like that one servant, right? We hide what we have. We're afraid that we're going to lose it. We're afraid to give to others because we think if we give to others, we're going to lose what we have, you know? And I've seen this play out many times in my own life. You know, one of the things that really opened my eyes to this was, and it's going to sound silly, playing video games that have inventory management. I've noticed that whenever I play an RPG and there's an inventory, I'll go through the entire game just hoarding stuff, hoarding a bunch of potions, hoarding a bunch of tools and everything that you could use to actually beat the game if you actually, you know, spent the stuff you have. But I'll notice that I'll play the whole game on hard mode, essentially, not using any of those things. And then when I beat the game, I'm like, oh, my inventory's full of fucking healing potions. Why is that? And then I realized, you know, after thinking about it, that that's the way I'm living my life, right? I have my bank accounts. I have a 401k. I have 2 investment accounts. I have a Webull futures trading account. I have multiple accounts with money in them, but the money is, for the most part, just sitting there. The investment accounts, I guess it doesn't really matter. Those are doing their own thing. But I have a savings account. Now, albeit it's a high yield savings account, but that's still only like 3%. What is that doing? What am I doing with that? That money should be used for some other venture. Buying some houses to rent out to other people, investing more of it into the stock market, maybe some crypto. You know, there's a lot, starting a business. There's a lot of things that I should be doing. But the reason I haven't done those things is because of the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset keeps you in a state of constant fear, a state of conservation. You're too afraid to lose what you have. And I really do think, you know, the phrase scared money doesn't make any money is true. It's a real phrase. It's whoever came up with it was onto something, because you're not going to make any money saving money, right? You're not going to make any money. And don't get me wrong, there's limits to this. I'm not saying go out and spend all your money on a wild investment on some crypto, but at least allocate a little bit of money to it, a decent amount, a substantial amount where it will be worth it, right? But if you don't take any risk, you can't move forward. And for the longest time, you know, I've been living very comfortably. Software engineer for 6-7 years, just chilling on my laurels, not trying to do anything else, not trying to rock the boat, until recently when I got, you know, laid off. They laid off a bunch of people at my company. And now I'm thrown back into the ocean of job searchers. And it makes me realize, like, I made a giant mistake being so scared. having the scarcity mindset when it comes to having a job. Oh, this job pays a lot of money. Oh, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to risk anything. Let me just coast. But at the end of the day, I still end up losing the job. And now I have to find another one. And because I didn't take any risks, I'm stuck. I can either use my money that I've saved up and take some risks there, which I still plan on doing, or I can go try and find another job and try to coast again. But the truth is that if you're going to go through life coasting, you're never going to get to the next level. You're never going to get to that millionaire level. You got to take some risks. And the other thing is that when you have a scarcity mindset, you can't enjoy anything. I had the McLaren supercar. I couldn't enjoy it. Every time I got in the car and I was driving around, I was thinking, oh, tires, oh, maintenance, oh, the miles, the paint, this, that, scarcity mindset. When in reality, I should have drove the McLaren like I drove the Porsche. I don't know how or what happened, but with the Porsche, I didn't really get that impacted by the scarcity mindset, even though it was also a pretty expensive car. But I kind of didn't care that much. And look what happened with that. I drove the car. I enjoyed the car. I put 50,000 miles on the car. I sold the car and I literally got back all my money on the car. I had equity in the car. The car made $50,000. But then again, it's a Porsche. Porsche and McLaren are two different beasts, but that's a different video. Porsches are going to appreciate. It doesn't matter though. My point is that I enjoyed the shit out of the car. I drove it around. I drove it like a maniac. I didn't care. I didn't care if something happens to the paint. I didn't care about the miles. I didn't care about the tires. I didn't care about the maintenance. I didn't care about any of that stuff. I enjoyed the shit out of the car. Carefree. I went to trade it in and I got $50,000 extra dollars on the car. And I went and I got a McLaren. And then when I got the McLaren, that's when the scarcity mindset really started to hit me. And I was like, oh, that McLaren, I didn't even get to enjoy it. I literally didn't get to enjoy it. Now the car is crashed. I plan on getting another one eventually, but I didn't enjoy that car. I drove the car. I'm assuming if I really did the math, I probably drove that car less than 100 times. Less than 100 times. The car sat in the shop for like 6 months. And when I got it back, I only drove it a total of 8 times after that. And the 4 months before that, I probably drove the car a total of 20 times, chat, maybe 30. And that's because of scarcity mindset. Imagine going out and getting a car that costs $200,000 and not enjoying it at all. That's sad. So lesson learned, not to have a scarcity mindset, because a scarcity mindset will ruin everything you have. And you know, I'm just talking about material things and money, but the same thing goes to relationships and friendships. There are people who will become a friend with somebody, and the entire time they're in that relationship with that person or being their friend, they're worried like, oh, how is this going to end? What's going to cause us not to be friends? Oh, I don't want to lose this person's respect. Oh, I don't want to lose this person's friendship. Oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. And they seem desperate. And that same desperation that they exude causes the person that they're afraid to lose to leave, because you have a scarcity mindset. The same thing goes to dating. The guy who never gets any girls, and then when he finally gets a girl, he's all over her, desperate, clingy, and then she gets annoyed and she leaves. Or they don't even get to that point. He meets the girl and she can sense that this guy doesn't get girls because he seems desperate. And they say, this guy's a creep. He weirded me out. You weirded them out because you had a scarcity mindset. You need to have a mindset of abundance, bro. When you have a scarcity mindset, it scares other people away. They can sense that. They can realize that you're not a giver, you're a taker. Nobody wants to be around takers, man. Nobody wants to be around people that are just going to take their energy, take their money, take their food, take their joy. They want to be around givers. And when you have a scarcity mindset, they can sense that you're a taker, and you're going to take their energy. They're going to take their money. You're going to take their joy. You're going to be in a state of constant fear. Nobody wants to be around that. Nobody wants to be around that. So I really do believe that in this life, you need to go through it just realizing that, I hate to say it, and a lot of people are going to maybe disagree with me, nothing matters. You can't go through life being afraid. You know, I bought this watch and I joined a bunch of watch forums on Reddit, And I read the conversations that people are having on those forums. And there are people who buy a watch like this one and they're afraid to wear it. They're afraid that it's going to get scratched. They're afraid of the wear and tear. They're afraid that it's going to lose its value. Like, why do you care? Like, why do you care so much? You're not enjoying the thing you have. What is the point of getting material things if you're not going to enjoy them? Scarcity mindset. Scarcity. Your thought when you buy a watch like this should be, it doesn't matter because I'll just buy another one. I'll collect them. Who cares if it gets damaged? It can be repaired. Who cares if it gets scratched up? I'm enjoying the use of it. I have one, I can get another one. That's how I feel about the car. When I crashed my McLaren, I thought to myself, finally, you know what's crazy? What's crazy is in the last week or so of me owning the car was when the scarcity mindset was starting to subside. And when I crashed the car, I didn't freak out or cry about the car. I didn't even care. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to get another one. Doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. The only unfortunate thing is that I brought a car that was almost new and I didn't put almost any miles on it. I really didn't get to enjoy it, but I didn't care. And that's part of having a mindset of abundance. The mindset of abundance tells you that if you lose everything you have right now, it doesn't matter because you can get it back again. If you did it one time, you can do it again. Nothing matters. Nothing has any real value. Nothing is in scarcity. Everything is in abundance. You can get it again. It goes back to the rules of supply and demand, man. But a lot of people don't have the ability to self-reflect enough to really see what's holding them back. And I've sat down and I thought a lot about this topic and I realized it was the scarcity mindset. That's what's really pulling me down. And this applies to the individual just as much as it applies to the society itself, right? There are plenty of cultures that you can see that have a scarcity mindset. You can look at them and say, oh, these people are living in scarcity. You can be poor. You don't need to be dirty. Your country doesn't need to be a mess. It's a mess because you have a scarcity mindset. Everybody's too afraid to go out and give their time to keep everything clean. They said, oh, I don't want to risk my time doing that. I don't want to risk my social status doing that because if people see me helping other people or doing this, they're going to take advantage of me. And you know, it goes to so many things, even your interactions with other people. You know, a lot of people see me jolly, they see me being friendly, and they think, oh, this guy, we can take advantage of him. But they don't realize the reason I'm being jolly and friendly to every person I meet is not because I'm a quick lick. It's not because I'm sweet. It's because I'm trying to fight the scarcity mindset. The scarcity mindset tells you got to be mean to everybody else. You need to be closed and reserved because they want to take what you have. And it's up to you to break that mental hurdle, that mental barrier in your head and say, you know what? I'm going to be a guy who gives everybody an opportunity. And if somebody tries to screw me over, I will deal with it at the time of it happening. I don't need to be preemptively an asshole. And the truth is, when you start living in abundance, you start getting more stuff. All of the material stuff that you want, all of the goals that you're looking for, that stuff comes on its own when you have an abundance mindset. You don't need to do anything extra. You just got to be yourself and just Hakuna Matata. What will happen, happens. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really actually doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're all going to die. It doesn't matter. You might as well have fun. And the materialistic things, you got to see them from the bigger perspective. The big perspective, this watch is just a bunch of rocks and metal around my wrist. It has literally no actual value. Nothing has value. Once you realize that nothing has value, then you're not going to have a scarcity mindset because you're not going to care. If you lose it, you lose it. If you gain it, you gain it. You're going with the flow. Be in the moment. Be yourself. Anyways, I wanted to get that off my chest. I hope this video helps at least one person. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Turn on notifications. I stream every single day, 6:30 p.m. I'll catch you later. I'm out.